This month on One Man Book Club, I'm going to be talking about Chapelwood, Cherie Priest's follow-up to her novel Maplecroft. This is the second in the Lizzie Borden Lizzie Borden Dispatches. And overall, I liked it. Lizzie Borden comes back, this time 30 years older. Other characters from the first novel have passed on. Her sister Emma's gone. Of course, Nance is gone. Dr. Sudsbury has been lost to time and madness. But Inspector Wolf makes another appearance and is more of a character in this novel, I feel, than the last one, and I like his character a lot in here. Lizzie Borden is also really good. I liked the aged feel of her. She's still heroic, but she isn't as... In Chapelwood, Lizzie Borden is removed from the location of the last book, which I really loved. The dread location in the last novel, the house, the town, and moves it to Alabama, and mixes in a couple of other elements I liked. I liked the character Harry the Hacker, who was trying to stop this evil cult plan, as Lizzie Borden's main task in this is trying to find out where Nance went, as a victim of Harry the Hacker, who is trying to thwart an evil cult, who is trying to summon a godlike being, like a Thulian monster, from the middle distance. I really like that term that they use in the book, the middle distance. That resides someplace beyond the stars, for it is larger than the stars, and it is slumbering, and it can only be roused once every 1,000 years. But Inspector Wolf is there because one of the cult members murders a friend of his, a Father Colt, on the steps of his church, as the cult is heavily anti-Catholic, plus the priest married the gunman's daughter, Ruth, to get her away from the cult, as she feared them. And I liked that narrative. I like how the story intertwined and fell together. I liked a lot of the characters and the ends they met, if they did in fact need an end. Though it does leave a lot of loose ends, like it doesn't state what happens to the true Americans after the end of the book, a group supported and heavily part of the cult, but it does state that the two are so closely entwined they are basically the same thing, but still, there's no real aftermath. It just resolves and then is considered over. I like the end of the book. The last third is really well written and well paced. It's very descriptive. I like the descriptions of what Inspector Wolf and Lizzie Borden break into the into Chapelwood and explore it. All of that's really, really good. It kind of drags for me. For the middle portion, it dragged. It didn't have a lot going for it in those points, but it did have enough to keep me reading it. It didn't feel like a rehashing of the original story, which I really liked. And it also didn't feel like a true sequel. If anything, I feel this is more of a companion piece, as only two of the main players from the last book make appearances, and the others are heavily referenced, but I don't feel reading the first book is required for this one, though I would heavily suggest it. I really like what she does. I really like what Cherie Priest did with the character Ruth. How the character starts off weak and in need of saving, and really evolves as a character by the end of the book into a much more mature and fully developed person. My main gripe with the novel is Lizzie Borden's end is supposed to be left up in the air. That she's possibly perished, or maybe she went to the middle distance, or like simply passed over to where spirits go. But my gripe is this book is written in the same style as Maplecroft, as letters or journal entries, things the characters wrote, and so you're getting it from each character's perspective. And she writes of her finding the axe in Chapelwood, towards the climax of the book. And it's the last time that it's a chapter written by her, but there's no time for her from the finding of the acts in the narrative to her disappearing to write those. She never stops and writes down. She's running through tunnels, she's fighting off cultists, and saving a damsel in distress. Like, she doesn't stop and like write a journal entry to her dead sister. So them questioning what happened to her when she obviously, just by the structure of the narrative of the story being told the way it is, had to have survived the events. The book is also full of like a lot of great turns of phrase. Like a Ouija board made of sticks and wishes. I liked that. I really liked the term the middle distance. Sherry Priest does a great job playing with words in a way that evokes a very strong sense of theme with the book and creating like a unique feel for it that ties it directly to Maplecroft in a way that the two books do feel related, but again, like they're not sequels. It's more of a companion piece. But sadly, overall, I didn't like it as much as I liked Maplecroft. Maplecroft was a great story, and it kept me turning the pages, and it never dragged. It had a great villain. Not that the Reverend in this book isn't a great villain. He is a good villain, but his ending doesn't feel as satisfying as Zoll offers in Maplecroft did. His demise was like great. It gave a great sense of closure to his character, whereas the Reverend Davis in this one is just kind of gone, and that's the point, that in his being gone. But it just felt like a lazy way to remove the character from the narrative, and I feel like she could have done better, though. That and Lizzie Borden being writing a chapter right before she's supposed to disappear or no one knows what happens are my only two gripes with this book, and both are incredibly slight gripes for an otherwise pretty great story. Like I said, the middle portion drags a little, but if you can just tough out the 30 or so pages of dragging, it really picks up again, and it does end on a pretty good note, and it's a book that's certainly worth the read.